Here we go.
Oh.
Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for joining today for this webinar on using word walls to support natural communication and script literacy in your languages classrooms. I'm Monique from JapanEasyReads, and I'm really excited to share some of these strategies and insights that have really worked wonders in my classes. But to start with, I just thought I would put this overarching question out there. As languages teachers, how do we encourage natural communication in a languages classroom? And I guess to go a bit deeper, perhaps reflect on your own languages classroom and think about these questions. What does successful communication look like in your classroom? Is it about accuracy, spontaneity, or the exchange of meaningful ideas? In addition, how do you create opportunities for students to engage in real life, unscripted conversations that go beyond rehearsed dialogue and role plays? And finally, how can we design classroom environments where students feel comfortable with imperfect communication, focusing on the process rather than the product? So by that, I mean focusing, prioritizing the process or interaction of ideas over achieving perfection or perfect spoken language. So with these overarching questions in mind, our focus today will be on three main objectives. So we'll explore how word walls can foster meaningful communication, support beginners by reducing cognitive overload, and guide students towards script literacy through co-created texts and shared reading. By addressing these objectives, we'll bridge theory with practical strategies that you can use in your classroom. So these are our three main objectives: understanding the purpose and benefits of word walls, exploring how word walls can help beginners engage in communication while managing their cognitive overload, and we'll learn strategies to transition from word walls to script literacy through co-created texts and shared reading. So by the end of the session, hopefully you'll have some practical tools that you can implement immediately. So what are word walls? And here's a little snapshot. So word walls are curated visible displays of the essential vocab that supports communication and comprehension. So in a CI or comprehensible input focused language classroom, word walls might include the super 7 verbs here, like, to be, to have, and the like, which are the backbone for many conversations. They may also include question words, like who, what, where, which are, of course, essential for any interaction. And really importantly, they also would display conjunctions like and or but or therefore, which help students connect ideas and also develop a little bit of more detailed responses and extended responses. So here's one I prepared earlier, an example of a word wall. And you can see along the top here are the super 7. You've got the question words here and the conjunctions here. Also down here, we've got some rejoinders, which I'll talk about now. So we can sprinkle rejoinders like really, that's incredible, of course. And these are really great conversational prompts, which keeps the interaction lively and more natural. So here are some examples that I would have on my classroom walls. that the students then, they get so used to these ones, and it encourages a natural interaction with, so the students can bring their own response to any of the discussions that we have. So, uso, or 面白いです, or 本当? So, poison words. I love this term. And these words may not be high frequency, but they're acquired quickly and bring a fantastic element of humour and extra engagement. So poison words add fun. And poison words might be things like vomit or hiccup or poo, boring, stinky. And they are super quickly acquired by students, particularly middle schoolers, I find. Now, the benefits of a word wall and why they're so powerful. First, they reduce the need for rote memorization by providing visual prompts. So, secondly, they encourage natural unscripted communication. And thirdly, they build confidence by giving students accessible tools or a scaffold to express themselves. And so by prominently displaying these words, we can model rich, relevant input in class discussions, storytelling, and interactive activities. So for beginners especially, during oral tasks, I've found the greatest success when the word wall uses only romaji. Here's an example here. And the reason why is if the goal in these tasks, these oral tasks, is to focus on communication, if that's our goal, by removing any additional challenge of decoding hiragana or katakana, we minimize the cognitive overload and allow students to process the language much more seamlessly. So this doesn't mean students avoid the scripts altogether. Quite the contrary. The follow-up, co-created text and shared reading ensures that the students engage with hiragana and katakana and kanji in meaningful contexts. And this bridges the gap between oral communication and the written proficiency. So, why romaji? Some educators worry very strongly. Some educators worry that using romaji might delay script acquisition or hinder pronunciation. And I must admit that I have had the same concerns initially. I was very, very pro or anti romaji. However, I discovered that romaji serves, when used in this way, with a focus on the oral input, the romaji actually serves as a temporary scaffold that prioritizes communication. So with consistent follow-up through reading activities, students transition really smoothly to script literacy without missing a beat. I have shared on my blog and my YouTube channel videos of young students reading some of the JapanEasyReads books, and this showcases the pronunciation really beautifully. I also have colleagues who teach with a strong focus on oral input in romaji, and they have shared similar observations with their in regards the acquisition of the script and also the pronunciation. It hasn't hindered that in the slightest. So I I guess the key to successful use of Romaji is twofold. So one, to prioritize it for oral input activities to ensure that the meaning is made easily and in real time. And secondly, follow up with reading activities that reinforce the script. I've shared an overview of cold character reading, the cold character reading approach, in webinar 10, and you can access this on my YouTube channel. So please check that out for more information about cold character reading. Really, really powerful. So word walls are more than just vocabulary displays. They're tools for fostering communication, confidence, and literacy. And so by thoroughly designing and using them, we create classrooms where students feel empowered to engage more readily with the language. So a few tips. As I've said before, use for oral input to maximize comprehension. This is not a reading activity. My apologies. My apologies. Benji, come here. So it's not a reading activity. Reading is the follow-up activity after the oral input, which reinforces the oral language that's been used. Another tip, point and pause. Give wait time so the students have time to process. And this was something that really was drilled home to me when I took a beginner German course. And I realized then when I was in my students' shoes, just as a student, I realized then just how much wait time I needed for the processing to happen. So also my advice also would be for beginners especially, don't be tempted to use a bilingual wall. So for oral input, the goal is communication. So streamline any distractions. Kanji is really fun, it's unusual, and it can be a distraction. So keep this for another time where you can discuss the stroke order, meaning, or radicals. But for oral input, our goal is keeping the communication smooth and natural. I'd really love to hear your thoughts about that, or what questions do you have about, I know this is a sensitive topic using Romaji, so if you've got any questions, please feel free to raise them. Otherwise, I'll just move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So making word walls interactive. So we'll talk about how to make a word wall a dynamic part of your classroom. And here are a few strategies. Point and pause. And you can see that I have used, I've got a pointer there, and I point and pause as I'm asking questions. So, dare ga imasu ka? So I'm pointing and pausing, waiting for the response. So everything here should be made comprehensible because I'm pointing and pausing to the language that I'm using. Ah, so desu ne. Otoko noko ga imasu. Onna noko ga imasen, etc. Rejoinders, use conversational responses like "that's amazing," no way, to add natural interaction. And again, I have some footage of students and this process in the process of creating a story with me, and they use them spontaneously. So if they're able to use them spontaneously, it's an indication that the comprehension is there. As I've said, use the poison words just to add a little bit of spice. So these activities not only make learning fun, but also encourage students to experiment with the language and to take more risks with it. Now, to ensure that students build script proficiency, follow up then with a co-created text, which I call write and discuss. So write the stories or dialogues together, incorporating the word wall vocab. Recap a story or a discussion, and this is when the teacher drives the dialogue by asking questions and providing prompts. So it might be, dare ga imasu ka? Inu ga imasu ka? Soretomo neko ga imasu ka? So, and as the students in the class creates that language, we would type it out or write it up. So they're seeing that written structure in real time there, and they're creating it with you. After you've created the shared writing, the shared reading really reinforces the script recognition by reading the text as a class and text language that they are familiar with, that they know. And throughout that, checking for comprehension. So reading and then, what does that mean? And really quickly checking for comprehension and continuing on so that the flow is kept. I've found this approach really balances the communication and the literacy, which gives the students a really strong foundation. So to bring it back to the overarching question, how do we encourage natural communication in a languages classroom? I really hope that this webinar has provided some food for thought about the purpose of word walls, particularly for beginner learners. It's also highlighted the connection between comprehended, personalised and recycled oral input and the transition to script literacy through co-created texts and shared reading. So if you have any questions, please feel free to. I think we've probably got 5 minutes left of the free account. Yeah.
Eventually, so I try to keep, I'm probably like one of those teachers who would keep to the script. And like you say, over the years, I've been convinced if the purpose is for oral, then yeah, why not? Because that's the purpose. Like, in the past, I was like, hiragana script, if the kids know that they shouldn't be using it.
Yes.
But I thought, if the purpose is, for them to find it, or, it's that's not the purpose that you want, why not? Why not let them use it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
otherwise,
yes, what the other thing that I have found too is this approach, and if we do have a focus on the communication, the students that have that skill that may not be able to memorize all of the hiragana, they're not then disadvantaged by
that's
that.
right.
If our focus is on the communication, I've got students that really have, really shown strong oral communication skills, but they are still working on their hiragana. And I think that is, this way gives an opportunity for more differentiation for all students. It's more inclusive because you're creating a story together. It's more of a group, I guess, a group approach. So it builds up the confidence, much more easily.
My other bigger question is, how do you link this method into, say, for example, I mean, like, we don't have a set curriculum per se for the primary school, but it's scope and sequence, like, at this year level, we have to cover this. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how do you link, using this method to be able to,
I think what I will follow up with is next week's, I will dive really into that because I know we're going to be cut off shortly. So I'll dive into that and, you know, show exactly how it connects really quite well with the content descriptors of both the Australian curriculum and also the Vic curriculum, which we use here. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think I could do that in more justice with more time. So
Yes,
that
definitely.
might be our focus for next week's Tuesday webinar. So
Okay.
thank
I won't be in next Tuesday because I'll be on the plane to Hobart.
lovely. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will come back and watch your recording.
Yeah, great. No worries,
All right.
Ari.
Thank
Well,
you so much, Monique.
no, my pleasure. If you have any other questions about that topic that you'd like addressed in the webinar, please let me know.
Okay, will do.
Beautiful.
All
Thanks,
right. Thank you
Ari.
so much. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any more questions or want to dive more deeply into this topic, continue the conversation in the JapanEasyReads community or join the Starting Strong with CI course, which helps boost engagement, builds student confidence, and gives you practical strategies you can implement. So until next time, ganbarimashou.